All right, good evening, parents. Good evening, Academy applicants, future Academy applicants. My name's Travis Whittick, founder of Academy Endeavors. Simply put, I'm here to help you win an appointment, win an Academy appointment, win the congressional nomination, win an Academy appointment, and get into one of the most prestigious colleges, most unique undergrad experiences, and the most complex admissions process in the country. It's really not even close. We've done coaching for the Ivy Leagues, et cetera. We used to, we don't do it anymore. And the Academy application process is a doozy. Those don't even hold a candle to what you're about ready to undergo. And so our job is to make sure you are fully prepared. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and that you can maximize your chances of success. I remember right where you were about 20 years ago. I went to the Air Force Academy class of 2007. The pain of applying to the Academy even that long ago was part of what motivated us to start Academy Endeavors. Let's face it, it's a daunting journey, and it's also a low acceptance rate. You have about a 10% chance of acceptance. But if you follow what we teach, we believe you can drastically improve your odds. Over the last 3 admission cycles, 100% of our clients have earned congressional nominations. Over 90% of our clients have won an Academy appointment and or a full tuition ROTC scholarship. And that's why tonight we're excited to announce the launch of our Pro program for rising seniors. We take 30 families through the application process from start to finish, and there are a few slots left. Some folks have already signed up because we announced it back in November, and now at least at this point that I'm speaking, it's January of 2023, and you will have a chance at the end of this webinar to secure your spot, or to at least take the next step forward to secure your spot. The one thing we want you to remember from this webinar is this process that you're about to undergo is much more complex than normal college. So you need to learn to ask for help. Okay? And we're not just saying that for Academy Endeavors. If you're not going to sign up for Academy Endeavors, at least ask for help. Join our webinars. Pay attention to our posts online. Join our email list. Read our blog, etc. Ask for help from other Academy grads in your network. Seek out liaison officers. Ask for help from superstar parents that are involved in this process. And here's why. Because most of the folks that apply to the Academy are type A personalities. They want to win, and they want to do it all themselves. And that just doesn't work in this process. It's too much. You have too much going on between school, sports, extracurriculars, community involvement to also win at this and do it all on your own. We have not found anyone, and I mean anyone that we've gone through that we've talked to that has won it completely on their own. And so this process is much more complex. You need to learn to ask for help. That's the one thing we want you to remember. 3 things that we're going to do tonight. But we're going to first start with 2 things we're not going to do. All right. First, we are not going to bore you with PowerPoint. All right. Everybody give an amen. We're not going to bore you with PowerPoint. We have one PowerPoint slide to give you today, but we want you to pay attention to that one PowerPoint slide. All right. Because we believe it's a 1,000-foot view of what's going to happen over the next 12 to 16 months in your life. And we want you to pay attention to that. All right. Second, we're not going to waste your time trying to convince you about all the great things of going to the Academy, trying to sell you on the Academy. We assume you already want to go there. That's why you're signed up for this call. So our way to best serve you over the next 45 minutes is to help you get in. All right. So what are we going to do over the next 30 to 45 minutes is we're going to show a timeline. We are going to give you a call to action. All right. And we are going to open it up for live Q&A. That's our commitment to you. Now, this is your commitment to us over the next 30 minutes. Stop the multitasking. It doesn't work. It's proven to not work. Get out a pen and paper, take notes, write down your questions, engage. All right. So stop the multitasking, get out a pen and paper, take notes, and then ask questions. That's your commitment to yourself and to us over the next 30 to 45 minutes. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is a timeline. So I'm going to share the PowerPoint slide. And this is it. This shows the applicant timeline in 3 areas, color-coded there and shown on the left, between the academy, nominations, and ROTCs. They all have distinct processes and different deadlines, okay? And we put these 3 buckets together on one slide because applicants usually are applying to ROTC as well as academies. ROTC is a fantastic backup option to the academy, and nominations are a unique admissions process that are a requirement to get into the academy. Okay, the deadlines are the red lines. Those are the typical deadlines for academy, congressional, and ROTC applications. The exact dates for each academy are actually at the top, okay, because they're different. In fact, to be even more detailed about this, USAFA doesn't have one deadline. They do it based upon when you open up the application, so you actually have to look into your portal to see the exact deadline. But typically, it's by January of the year you're graduating, right? So for all of you that are juniors, that would be January of 2024, and you're typically going to be notified by April 15th. That would be for you 2024. All right. Now, at the beginning of the application process is where summer seminar applications open up. Okay. And so that's happening right now for you juniors that are on this webinar. And then you will attend summer seminar if you get in the summer going into your senior year. Okay. So that's applying to summer seminar and then attending down here. All right. The reason we say that is the official opening of the academy application cycle is because when you apply to summer seminar at Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, West Point, etc., you are opening up an official application with that academy. All right. And that can act as your pre-application in which they screen you to see if you're eligible and then give you a real application. And the real applications open over the summer for academy, nomination, and ROTC. Okay, they're going to open up the summer going in to your senior year. All right, there's 3 points we want you to know from this timeline slide as to why the academy application process is such a bear. All right, first is that it's much longer process. Just look at the overall length of this process. The months are down here at the bottom, and you'll see that from start to finish, we're talking 12 to 16 months. That's a long process. And why do I say it's so long? Well, because we used to serve high school seniors in their college applications, and the process, I'm not kidding, looked like this. Okay? For most of them, they were applying early action. At least that's the goal. That would be our suggestion for you guys. Just a little pro tip there. And essays and recommendation letters, resume, and comment app. And they started once late summer, early fall, and they finished by November 1st. And then they found out, in December, January, and they were done. That is not going to be your reality for the academies and ROTCs. It's going to be much, much longer. Okay, so you're talking the difference between 4 months and 12 to 16 months. All right. Second thing we want you to know from this timeline slide that really jumps out is there are much more requirements for this process. All right. The typical academy application is going to have essays and letters of recommendation. Those are very similar, but they're going to have much more. Because there is no common app in the academy process, and because they tack on the nomination requirements that itself has its own essays and its own letters of recommendation, the average client at Academy Endeavors last year had 22 letters of recommendation they had to chase down. All right, now that could be with some of the similar recommenders, but that is a lot more recommendation letters than you're going to be chasing down from the colleges. All right. And with essays, Common App has really streamlined essays where there's one personal statement and maybe a few supplementals per school. But the average client through Academy Endeavors, and we're applying to all the three categories on your screen: Academy, nominations, ROTC. average client wrote 18 essays. All right, that's not even close to the amount, way more than the amount of that you're writing for colleges. All right, so there are some overlap, but what is unique? Well, the fitness tests. For one, you're applying to a military school, so you got fitness tests for ROTC, you have fitness tests, the CFA for the academies. That is unique. Interviews. Okay, most colleges don't do interviews anymore. Some of the most prestigious colleges in the country do, maybe some of the privates, but that's about it. All right, you're going to be doing a lot of interviewing, and it's not just with a alumni necessarily like it would be for a college alumni interview, but you're going to be interviewing with military officers or retirees, and it might not even be with one person. With congressional nominations, usually you're going to be interviewing with a panel of 2 to 3 people. So how's that for intimidating? Especially if you've never interviewed in your life. And they're looking for different things than necessarily the average college would be. They definitely are looking for unique attributes. Our average client went through 7 interviews. All right, so not just 1, not just 2, you got to ace 7. All right, this process is a bear. The medical process. All right, the medical process is extremely unique to service academies and to ROTCs. The DOBMER process, that's the Department of Defense Medical Evaluation Review Board. It oversees all service academies and ROTCs. They're not going to give you a scholarship for hundreds of thousands of dollars unless they know that you're fit to fight. All right, that process can be as long as 7 months long. In of itself. So even if you're applying early and you kickstart that process in August, September, it still could last you upwards to the very end of the spring. We've seen it happen. And then the congressional nominations is in of itself a unique and distinct admissions process through your congressional offices that have their own nuances, their own even vocabulary. And it's tough to even know sometimes what they're talking about unless you know the lingo or you're familiar with the process. And so the congressional nomination process usually opens in the summer, and then the deadlines are generally between September and November of your senior year. All right, you will most likely be interviewed by your congressional office, and then you'll be notified. The nomination notification usually comes out it'll come out definitely before January 31st of your senior year. It has to, it's the requirement. Most of the time, it will come out as early as November, as late as December, sometimes even early January. All right. So many, many more requirements than the typical college. And the last thing that we want you to understand about this timeline, okay, so first was the length. All right, why the length is such a bear. Second is so many more requirements than the colleges, right? We shared this to compare and contrast. And the third is the uniqueness of rolling admissions. Okay? Rolling admissions. The academies, except for Coast Guard Academy, so the other 4 academies, do rolling admissions. That means the sooner you turn in your application once it opens, the more advantage you have of getting accepted. Why? Because they are actively giving out seats in the class in the early fall. Okay, these what's called an LOA, letter of assurance. So they're on the timeline. And so that means all things being equal, right? All things being equal, timeliness can be the differentiator. All right, because if they're giving out more seats in the class and you're the last one in line, you might have a great application. But if you're tied with a lot of folks that turned in earlier, that seat was already given out. The more seats they give out early, and though you're late to the table, the less food there is for you. And so the part of the strategy with winning an academy appointment is when you turn in your application and being ready to go even before the applications open. That is the timeline slide. One point we want to mention is the SAT. So there's a requirement that's not on the timeline, and that is most colleges actually do not require the SAT or ACT. However, the academies, it is mandatory. It is mandatory. You can take as many SATs as you want. You can take the ACT up to 12 times, but they will usually not accept the SAT or ACT after December of your senior year. December of your senior year. So you guys have 12 months this calendar year to get your SAT or ACT up, and they do super score that test. So they take the best math and the best verbal. It's very important that you take your strategy on that seriously as well, because the academies quantify everything you do. They quantify your transcript, they quantify your resume, they quantify your SAT score. Your SAT score is already quantified, but they put it into a formula, and the SAT, ACT component of that singled out is about 30% of the 100% admission score. You want to be taking that very seriously. Some ask, and we're going to hit on this. We want to hit on this while we're looking at the timeline here. Why is it more competitive? This is a question we get often. Why is the academy so competitive? Well, you probably don't know this unless you've been following along closely on our social media, or you are very familiar with the academies. But there are a congressionally mandated limited number of appointments that they can give out every year. So whereas public schools and even private schools can increase their enrollment every year to adapt to the rising rising U.S. population or the increased demand for colleges, the academies, Title X federal law, the academy must not be more than 4,400 cadets or midshipmen, okay, for the big academies. All right, the big three. So contrary to most colleges that increase enrollment every year, the academy's bylaw cannot. This means the academies can only give out around 1,200 slots per year. That is a very, very small number of acceptance letters. These are very small schools you're applying to, and very rigid in the number that they can give. Now, let's add to that. Let's add some more color to that. 25% of each academy class is taken up by recruited athletes. So these not only are small schools, but they're Division I schools, or for Merchant Marine and Coast Guard Academy, Division III schools. They field like 30 sports teams, okay, that all compete on national TV, that are part of conferences usually. That's a business, all right? They're fielding the best teams that they can. 25% of that is taken up by recruited athletes. So if you are not a recruited athlete, or don't think you'll be, then that 1,200 slots just got significantly smaller. Now add this to it. About 5 to 10% of the class every year is taken up by enlisted slots. Folks coming from the enlisted ranks that are they want to become officers and get a slot through at one of the academies. And so now 65% of that 1,200 left is for high school seniors, non-recruited athlete high school seniors. That is awfully, awfully small. That narrow door got even narrower. So it's a limited supply, federally mandated limited supply number of appointments given out. The second is that you factor that in with there's such high demand for academy appointments because of their unique history, prestige, and the fact that they're fully funded. All right. By no means is the academy free, because you must serve a commitment afterwards. So the military is going to get a return on investment on you. But if you already want to serve, then you serve and you have no debt after graduation and a guaranteed job. So the academy pull is tremendous, but the limited supply is really what drives that 10% figure, when the average college acceptance rate is about 68% in the country. The academies are 10, which puts it at about Ivy League competitiveness. What we want you to do, what we said earlier, is the one thing we want you to remember from this process. I'm going to stop presenting here. Is that this process is much more complex than normal college. So we want you to learn to ask for help. So don't go alone. Do not do this alone. Find a mentor. Even if it's not Academy Endeavors, find a mentor. Don't procrastinate. There are many things competing for your time, but balancing the urgent versus the important is going to be critical. So keep in mind, if you get a rejection letter spring, which we do not want, our goal is for everyone here on this call to get accepted to the academy of their dreams. If you were to get a rejection letter and you knew that, how confident would be that you did everything you could to get your dream? So here's our action step for you. If you are considering going through Academy Endeavors program, then sign up for a free one-on-one. All right, the link is there. We're going to put the link in the chat here again. No strings attached. We want to answer your questions. Sign up for a 30-minute discovery call with yourself, and a parent. Okay, we do them on Wednesday nights. So we're doing some tomorrow night. And so that's your call to action.